there's a lot we share, okay? We share the fact that this is the greatest live stream in the history of the interwebs. I'm Hal Sparks, Hal Sparksing like no one else can Hal Sparks. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Now, there's a Flapper show on Friday night for our Patreon people. I will be live streaming that for you. And if you're in Los Angeles, or the general Los Angeles area, and you feel like coming in, 10 o'clock Friday night, Flappers. Come on in. You can bring you and a guest if you're a Patreon subscriber to that show, and any other stand-up shows that I do by myself. I can't do it to the Sexy Liberal shows because I'm not kicking money out of anybody else's mouth. That's not my thing. But if it's my show and I have a say, you can get in there. Same thing with Nerd Halen shows. I think I probably have a 10-person limit, but most cities that spreads out. We don't have that many patrons. We should be all right. So that said, I am Hal Sparks. That's right, Doug. I'm not only Hal Sparks, I'm the Hal Sparks, and I'm the best Hal Sparks at Hal Sparksing that anyone has ever seen Hal Sparks in the history of Hal Sparksing. Sure. But what do we share? Folks, what do we share? What do we have in common? Even with those across the aisle, as they often will say. Even though they're in Congress, is like 4 aisles just for safety, for evacuation purposes. There's a main aisle, but there's an outer aisle, and I'm just saying there's like 5 aisles. But anyways, across the aisle, left to right, let's just say. Thanks very much about the pounding. What was that about? It was a good time. There's something we can reach across and we can agree on. And one is that we all want peace, don't we? Don't we all want peace on Earth? Or at least a piece of pumpkin pie at Earth Cafe. Also good. Yeah. Is there a Hal Carrot Pence? Oh, I see. That's the, I feel like somebody's asking for.
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Carrot.
All right. But I think we can agree that we all want peace, including Carl Higbee Sellers, Brandon, on Newsmax. You want peace? Prepare for war. But sorry, tell me how we should be cutting the defense budget, because that's the current talking point amongst the right. But okay, look, Carl occasionally gets off into the reeds, but he's got a step-by-step breakdown on how to get world peace. Folks, it's been solved, and Carl's done it in 9 minutes, and we won't even have to watch the whole thing because I'm sure it will be full of other bullshit. But Carl Higbee, Frontline, Brandon, I think he should call his show Branded, myself. He rips apart the United Nations empty calls for war. What? Hold on. Oh, that's good. On Tuesday's episode of Carl Higbee Frontline, Carl ripped apart the United Nations empty calls for war peace. You mean world peace? I'm not familiar. War peace must be its own kind of separate thing. Explained how to actually get world peace. Okay, well, that's clear. And more on Newsmax. And big emphasis on moron. All right, here we go. This is Carl, and he's figured it out. Look, I'll take a pathway to peace. Let's see it. You know what I mean?
Literally on fire. And we have a bunch of people in Manhattan with the UN talking. So the world is literally on fire. And
okay, the world is literally not on fire. The world is, I'm just telling you, don't be afraid to go outside. It is not on fire. There are fires, it's that biblical curiosity of wars and rumors of wars as a sign of when Jesus is coming back that makes it a little difficult to kind of pin him down on an exact date, because that's always fucking true.
We have a bunch of people in Manhattan with the UN talking about peace with our lame duck president.
Well, he's the president. Sorry, is world peace a lame duck issue? Will the next president, no matter who they are, not want peace? Is that the idea?
Since October 7, we've also been determined to prevent a wider war that engulfs the entire region. Hezbollah, unprovoked during the October 7th attack, launching rockets into Israel. Almost a year later, too many on each side of the Israeli-Lebanon border remain displaced. Full-scale war is not in anyone's interest. Even if the situation has escalated, a diplomatic solution is still possible. As we look ahead...
Also, yes, that's fine. Yes, good thing.
Must also address the rise of violence against innocent Palestinians on the West Bank.
Oh, that's what Newsmax has a problem with. That's what it was. That's what made him mad. Yeah, Biden defending innocent Palestinians. You can't do that. Yeah, no. Now, first of all, it fucks up the Lee Camp, Jimmy Dore, rusty trombone, storyline that they sell to hyper lefties that, Genocide Joe and all that kind of shit doesn't. Yeah. It's hard if he actually, in front of the UN, calls for this, limits the size of the bombs we give to Israel, provides aid to Palestinians in this situation. It's still, you can't play that clip. It doesn't help.
And set the conditions for a better future, including a two-state solution.
Right. Obviously, that's Biden getting out over his skis again, going off the rails, coming up with some gaffy, weird thing.
A two-state solution has been proposed by America and other countries like 4 times in the last 30 years. It's been rejected by Hamas.
4 times? It is always on the table.
Or Hezbollah or Iranian proxies every single time. The problem.
Okay, by the way, Hezbollah doesn't have a say in it, dumb fuck. And Iranian proxies, you mean Hamas. You already said that. Hamas wasn't even in power fucking 35 years ago, much less 20.
Problem is and then what? You can't just say, well, let's have world peace.
That's not what they're doing. This is a speech. And speeches are where you say shit. But they actually have, there's other shit that goes on at the UN that involves meetings and plans and the carrying out of strategy. Does this motherfucker think that, maybe he does. Maybe because all Trump does is talk. Maybe he thinks that's what everybody else does too.
It happens to be, you need a catalyst to help that along.
You need a catalyst to help that along. So what will help along the two-state solution? Carl Higbee, Brendan.
These people at the UN have no idea what they're doing.
These people, the leaders of whatever, 160 countries that are part of it.
Name me one accomplishment of the UN in the last 20 years that actually forwarded world peace, like specifically.
Every time you haven't had a war. I mean, you're asking to prove a negative, but the idea is it's like, show me how the State Department has ever won a war. Well, that their whole purpose is to stop them. Also, they've interjected in between civil wars in a bunch of different countries over time and helped rebuild them afterwards. That would be the thing, I guess.
The experts, scholars, foreign leaders, overpaid consultants, white paper authors.
Yeah, fuck them. Carl Higbee, Brendan, has got it figured out. Tell us how it goes.
I am going to give you a map to solving world peace in the next 5 minutes.
Fabulous. That's all we need. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you should send this straight to the UN. These guys they probably don't know how to read, Carl. Why don't you go down there and tell them, man? Tell you what, go make a speech. Oh, that's just talk. You know what?
The first thing, you have to define your enemies.
Yes, nothing is more peaceful than defining an enemy. That's what I got to say. When I make my checklist of how I want peace in any area, it starts with defining my enemy.
Iran, its proxies, Houthis, Hezbollah, Taliban, other various terrorist offshoots like ISIS. These are...
Sorry, you really threw in the Taliban, the group that Trump released 5,000 Taliban fighters before the withdrawal from Afghanistan when he knew this? Basically hoping that they would kill a bunch of people so that we would stay in forever. We now know this because he's saying it openly. But also, you don't think we've defined the Houthis are the enemy? We gave them a break for a little while to see if they wanted to, form a regular government. They acted like assholes, and we said, nope, back on the list. Gave everybody a shot. Can't say we didn't give you a chance.
Are our enemies. They want every American, Republican and Democrat alike, to die. They don't care about your virtue signaling.
Well, I would say the Iranians don't. I think their leadership does, and there's certain Islamists amongst the top leadership especially, but the average Iranian, that's one of the biggest problems we have with a massive fight breaking out with Iran, is that the vast majority of Iranians, except for the ones that were taken over in the Muslim expansion, actually sided with Europeans for a very long time and believe in, you know, like open pluralistic society where women don't have to cover their hair and all kinds of shit like that. That's what the conflict. So why would we want to bomb people who are working through that conflict? You know what I mean?
Parades.
Oh, all right, I'll chat. Hold on. Somebody's saying happy birthday. Thank you. That's good. Oh, Deanne, thank you so much. By the way, I'm going to be on Stephanie Miller's show in the morning tomorrow, just letting you know, in the last hour, 8 o'clock hour, my time. And let's see. Thank you so much. All right. Anyways, Carl, you were saying?
Justice for Palestine. They don't care about what political party you're affiliated with. They just want to kill every American.
Yeah, but that's not all the people there. That's kind of the point. That's why we haven't carpet bombed them and why you don't. But again, sorry. So you want to define the enemy. And according to Carl Higbee, the first step in the path to peace is defining everyone who lives in a particular country or who is around or under a particular group. Because again, the Taliban control big swaths of Afghanistan, but the people around them, the women, the children, the other people, you know, are subject to them in the same way that, you know, say the mob maybe controlled some neighborhoods in New York in the 70s, but not everybody was in the mob. So the idea of like carpet bombing Hell's Kitchen wouldn't really solve the problem. It would have just killed a bunch of innocent people. Yeah, none of this is registering? No, okay.
Most of this is religious fanaticism with a desire for Islamic supremacy. That's not racist. That's just a fact. But the people...
Well, it's because religions aren't races.
Well, the White House don't understand that.
Okay, but saying Iranians are our enemy when there are Zoroastrians, Persians, Christians, like Jews in Iran and the like, versus, say, Islamists and then regular Muslims, that the Islamists themselves, while they may control the place and rule it with an iron hand, the rest of the people are actually on our side in a lot of ways. And if they could get out, they would get out.
Now, barring eliminating them in their entire region, which you're...
Right, that which sounds a little racist. I will give you a little bit. Look, so barring rounding them all up, say in train cars, and putting them in some sort of a place with ovens.
You're not going to do this at this time.
At this time. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad. Hey, look, count your blessings, kids. He's like, we're not going to genocide all Iranians right now. Okay? Hang out.
You cannot defeat this. You just have to keep it at bay. Like Donald Trump showed the leader of the Taliban a picture of his home and said, if you mess with us, I'm going to send a rocket into your house.
Where you, he's like, yeah, where he wasn't at the time. You do realize when he said, why do you show me a picture of my house? He doesn't actually live there. He wasn't actually there. When he had this conversation with him, he had just gotten out of a Pakistani jail and was meeting with the Taliban leadership in Afghanistan. He wasn't at home. He wasn't anywhere near where his family was. You know who was in that house, allegedly? I mean, it's a bullshit story. Anyways, you know who's in there? Arguably his wife or wives and children. Like, you fuck with us and I'll kill the women and children, was what Trump was saying. Which is, by the way, technically a post-birth abortion. Just say it. Big, like, way post-birth, but still.
And it worked. That's the...
No, it didn't. It did not work. Trump said this week that they broke the deal of the Doha agreement. It didn't work.
Only way to deal with these people, with force. The second thing...
Sorry, these people. Oh, you mean fictional people he just fucking made up because the leader of the Taliban's name is not Abdul?
Is defining our adversaries.
I see. So 2 out of 3 of these fucking things, the third one, spoiler alert, are adversaries. Let me guess. Those would be our allies that you don't like because they want to support Ukraine or something.
They don't
or Taiwan.
necessarily want to destroy us. They just want to be superior to us. China, probably the first one on this list, followed by Russia. And it's shocking to me that nobody in the White House has taken 30 seconds to sit down and define these things.
You're an idiot. Carl, what the fuck do you think the Chips and Science Act was all about? Have you read a single article about the Chinese economy in the last 3 fucking years? You really think they're just like, I don't know, has anybody checked on China lately? Are you really that fucking stupid? Carl, dude, really? You're just going to go with being that dumb? That works. Hey, look, I'm not going to question your business model over at Newsmax. Obviously, it works for Greg Kelly. Playing the kind of useless idiot, it's a moneymaker. And maybe that's how you get that time slot. But it's a bad look. I'm just saying.
Look, China is a communist country. Communists want total control. They don't need to kill everybody. They do sometimes, but they are seeking to financially leverage America so they can control.
Yeah, that's what communists do. They financially leverage. That's what communists have always sought, financial leverage. You know what I mean? I think it was Karl Marx who said, after he used the N-word to describe Jews, he said, what we really need is financial leverage. And then he went back to drinking brandy on the warm side of a bay window.
Control enough debt, and we have enough liabilities that they can destabilize us. They hope.
Asshole, they buy our debt like everyone else, and if they sell it, someone else buys it. China bought 8% of our open treasury certificates because it was a good bet. If they sell it, I got news for you. There are dozens of other countries that can afford them. They won't all be in one country, but they'll all be bought. Indonesia will buy some. Japan will buy some. Australia will buy some. I got news for you, motherfucker. They'll get scooped the fuck up. We don't owe China that. We're not like, oh, shit. China keeps calling it like we're dodging them like fucking creditors.
COVID would have helped.
I gotta leave soon, but this guy's annoying me. We gotta at least get to world peace.
That along the way. Once America is financially compromised, and we are super close to that.
No, we're not.
By the way, China.
No, we're not. We are not. Any more than somebody who goes, hey, how much does your house cost? My house is about $460,000 a year. Yeah? What's your salary? It's about $420,000. So if you basically just spent all your money one year, you could just pay off your mortgage. If you didn't pay any of your other bills, you could just pay off. So you're just doling out a chunk of it based on, like regularly paying it as you go because it's worth more to you than not being in that house. Yeah, okay. That's the American economy and our debt.
China will invade
even
Taiwan because if they control
No, they won't.
Taiwan, they control 90% of the semiconductors that go into our computers.
Yes, because 90% of the semiconductors that are in our computers are not good ones. 90% of the semiconductors in computers you can get, or in computer systems you can get, are low-end Lenovo shit laptop, cheap ones, dummy. It's that, that 10%? That's the part that fucking matters. They already make those 90% kind of chips in China. They just get them from there because they're cheap.
Control everything in our economy. But part two, and this is why Russia and China are working together right now.
Are they? You're adorable.
Now,
what they're working together? Is part of the come here, Carl. Psst, come here. Is part of them working together China renaming parts of Russia that they lost in the Sino-Russian War back to their Chinese names in anticipation of taking them once Russia falls apart? Is that working together?
What is Ukraine the primary producer of?
Well, grain, it's part of the breadbasket of Europe. And of course, Africa has issues. They don't produce enough grain. And so it certainly backfills that amount.
Neon.
Oh, dear. One more time.
Right now. What is Ukraine the primary producer of? Neon. What the heck is neon, and what does that?
Obviously, it's the stuff from the lights that we all use to decide whether some place is open or closed.
Neon just so.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, hold on. I'm fairly certain. Let's see. I need to open up. This guy right here. Try and see if I can bring up. This is, by the way, this is the category of defining your adversaries. This is what he's talking about. This would, by the way, I don't know where. I'll show you what he means. Let's see. Now, real quick, before we even get into this, one of the things you need to know about all of these things that they like to talk about is that America has found, and a lot of other countries have found, in the expansion of our just-in-time manufacturing and in the cheapness of getting stuff from other countries and shipping it in, is that in a lot of cases we'll get like 80% of our ibuprofen from China, for example, and they're like, "What happens? Fuck! What happens if China cuts us off and we won't have any ibuprofen left?" I'm like, okay, asshole. We can get ibuprofen from a lot of places. It's just super cheap coming from China, so we get 80% of it from there, so that it's super cheap. Here's what happens: the price goes up a nickel. We get 80% of the rest of, we get 20% that we already have from Canada or Mexico or wherever we're getting it from. And then we get the other 80% we get from Europe, or we get from fucking India or something like that. We make up the difference, and it's a nickel more expensive. That's what it is. Okay. And by the way, the neon argument is actually pro-Ukraine. I would like to make the point. So Ukraine halts half of world's neon output for chips, clouding outlook. Okay, so Ukraine's two leading suppliers of neon, which produce about half the world's supply of the key ingredient. And again, they do that, but they're not the only way we get it. They just currently do. About half, by the way. Supply of key ingredient for making chips have halted their operations as Moscow has sharpened its attack on the country, threatening to raise prices and aggravate the semiconductor shortage. Now, they're not doing it for spite. So here you go. Some 45 to 54% of the world's semiconductor grade neon, critical for the lasers used to make chips. And again, this is for the actual, this isn't in the chips themselves. It's in the lasers used to etch them. Okay? So you don't need a lot of it. It's not like it's in every chip. That's the other lie that he's putting out. Critical for lasers used to make chips comes from two Ukrainian companies, Ingus and Cryoin. According to Reuters calculations based on figures from the companies and market research firm TechSet, global neon consumption for chip production reached about 540 metric tons last year. Both firms have shuttered their operations, according to company representatives contacted by Reuters, as Russian troops have escalated their attacks on cities throughout Ukraine, killing civilians and destroying key infrastructure. They didn't shut it down. The Russians shut it down. The stoppage casts a cloud over the worldwide output of chips. And again, this is a volume thing, not a quality thing. The ones that are making quality for like AI and high-end chips and the kind of shit that we use in our military and in cars and shit like that, that's on a higher age level. They're able to get plenty. It's the crappy chips that are cut very poorly in a lot of situations that end up in fucking toys that we're talking about. So this idea that like, oh, fuck, we're going to run out of neon. Now what have you done? That's, again. And just because they produce about 50% of it doesn't mean there aren't other sources. It's just been the cheapest way to get it. Now, The stoppage casts a cloud over the worldwide output of chips, already in short supply after the coronavirus pandemic drove up demand for cell phones, laptops, and later cars, forcing some firms to scale back production. While estimates vary widely about the amount of neon stocks chip makers keep on hand, production could take a hit if the conflict drags on. Could, if drags on. If stockpiles are depleted by April and chip makers don't have orders locked up in other regions of the world, it likely means further constraints for the broader supply chain and inability to manufacture the end project for many key customers. What that means, Huawei, shit cell phones that are sold in Mexico and Africa. But it doesn't mean Europe and the United States because we have plenty. This dude is talking out of his ass.
Happens to be one of the most important things to produce semiconductors. So
yeah, why is that? Is it in all of them? If you want to produce them, notice how he says that. To produce semiconductors, meaning the lasers that they use. They need neon for that. I enjoy being aggravated at this point.
So if Russia
will you get to world peace already? I got to go to dinner.
Rolls over Ukraine and China isn't good with them, they have an unlimited supply of neon for when they take control of Taiwan, which you know.
Wait a minute. Sorry. So if Russia wins in Ukraine, back the fuck up. So all this seems to be is making the case that we should not let Russia take control of Ukraine because they will control the supply of neon for making chips. All the more reason, I think, to drive Russia out. Yes?
Things to produce
56 Nick, my Huawei phone costs $98. It's a bad piece of gear. Sorry to tell you. You might want to check it. I mean, obviously, you don't have a high clearance job, so it's not like they're spying on you, but yeah.
Conductors. So if Russia rolls over Ukraine and China is in...
If Russia rolls over Ukraine, well, then I think we should, right there, in defining not an adversary, we should probably protect Ukraine to protect our supply of neon, eh?
Good with them. They have an unlimited supply of neon for when they...
No, they have a limited supply. It's only 50% of the current world supply, stupid.
They take control of Taiwan, which you know they're going to try to do if Kamala Harris wins. And
why would they do that? We have American soldiers on the beach in Taiwan. China would lose 1 million soldiers in the first attack.
Now we'll control 99% of the things we need for all of our electronics.
No, they won't. And again, these are our adversaries, not our enemies. So Russia is attacking the source of neon in your little theory here, but they're adversarial, not an enemy.
You see how this works?
Yes, you have two brain cells, and they keep missing each other. They're bouncing around in there, and somehow it's amazing because there's nothing in there interrupting. They just never seem to collide.
They are playing chess while Biden is playing tiddlywinks.
Sorry, real quick. If we're playing tiddlywinks, sorry, Biden killed 700,000 Russians playing tiddlywinks? Fuck, he's a tough dude.
Also,
Corn Pop never had a chance.
So when we left Afghanistan, China just casually strolled in and tapped into a $1.5 trillion lithium deposit in that country that we didn't touch, by the way.
Right, because we don't need it. Because we have the Salton Sea. Because the salt flats in California have more lithium than we will ever fucking need. And we're moving away from lithium ion as the primary battery source. It's transitional, stupid. Hey, real quick, if we move away from lithium ion batteries and the new batteries are cheaper, they're solid state, they don't require lithium, and the rest of the world can adapt to them and start using them a lot quicker, what's that $1.5 trillion lithium mine worth? What's that deposit worth if nobody needs it? I'm almost done. I will. I'm coming. Hold on. One more thing, and then I'll be right there. And then I got to put some real pants on.
So they can make the batteries for the electric cars that Biden and Kamala Harris are mandating you to drive over the next 5 years. Keep in mind, our adversaries don't have elections, so they can just do whatever they want. There's no...
Right, which is why you like Trump, because he wants to do the same thing.
Constitution in those countries? People like Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, they understood this.
Oh, you mean suspend the Constitution or deal with the Iranians for arms and hostages?
Ronald Reagan based his policy largely on military superiority, but also had a financial strategy, much like China right now, like what China's doing right now.
I'm sorry, collapsing their economy as a rope-a-dope?
You think the space race against Russia was all about getting to the moon?
Well, according to Alex Jones and Joe Rogan, we didn't go to the moon.
No. The space race was also about getting the Soviet Union to spend themselves into oblivion.
Yeah, we know that. That's effectively what Biden has done with China.
While trying to keep up with the interstellar innovation of America, real or perceived.
Interstellar?
So we've accomplished, just now, folks, in 3 minutes, what no one at the White House, all the think tanks and everything.
Hold on, you have accomplished nothing, fuckwad. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about anymore. You veered off into the fucking reeds after adversaries. You lost us all at Ukraine has neon, so we best not let Russia take it, I guess. But you're arguing that Russia's going to and we shouldn't do anything about it. What the fuck?
Haven't done in 3.5 years. So now let's talk about fixing it, which is
great. Yes, let's fix
kind
it.
of part 3. Actual world peace, not just some, speech about it. I have enforced foreign policy for the U.S. in like dozens of countries, okay? Dealing with our enemies consists of old men talking and young men dying. And whoever can kill off enough young people or scare enough old people wins.
Yeah, most conflicts are resolved before the war stage in the world. Just saying, the vast majority. I mean, hammers see nails aside, you do recognize that all the time we're having, like, even trade negotiations, that used to result in war. We just take your farmland and kill everybody, or you try to do the same thing to us, and now we negotiate over prices and by the way, helping shipping lanes stay functional.
So you really want to solve the problem? The next time Iran has a Death to America rally in its streets, you send in 1,000 Tomahawk missiles and level Main Street in Tehran.
Yeah, okay, that sounds great. I don't know why that didn't occur to me. Someone call the White House. I honestly, that, you know what? I don't know what I expected, but I expected that. Let's just be abundantly clear. That's exactly what we all thought he was going to say. The next time they have a Death to America rally, kill everybody on Main Street in Tehran. Even the people just selling chocolate-covered dates and like halal lamb sticks. Yeah, those guys, they got to go. Any woman walking down the street getting harassed by some fuckhead about not covering her hair, kill her too. Go blow up all the buildings and all that kind of stuff, because then people will know you mean business, and by business you mean murder. Sorry, the InfoWars auction is 11/13. Sign me up, Dan. So we've got to find the details on that, because I should probably live stream. I'll try to bid on stuff. Wouldn't that be fun? I don't know what I would like. I'll have to set aside some money for it or some shit. I don't know how that works. But we'll set up a thing where, maybe like a $2,000 budget, something like that, and try to get the desk. And I might, obviously I'll have to live stream driving down there and picking it up in a truck and driving it back. And then my girlfriend being mad at me because we have no place to put it. This is starting to look like a plan. I like it. Tomorrow, 8 a.m., I will be on Steph's show for Sexy Liberal to promote that on Saturday in Phoenix, Arizona. Please come see us. And then after that, Kansas City, and then L.A. And I'm not going to show you my nuts. I didn't say I wasn't wearing pants. I just said I wasn't wearing the kind of pants you wear when you go to a proper dinner. And they're, by the way, they're clean. They're just very tight.
And I'm sure they'll stop doing it. Oh, Carl, you're going to make them?
All right, I got to go. Getting changed. Here we go. Have fun, everybody. Thank you so much. Oh, look at the goose. Goose. It's the Peking ducks.